hello, everyone. I am Yvette Lloyd, host of Lifer Podcast. I got these amazing women on here sharing their testimonies, their journey, just everything about them. And us women, we make the world go round. We make things happen. Our strength is amazing. We are powerful. And y'all know we can take over the world if we want to. but but y'all, I hope y'all really enjoy this amazing interview and gain something from it. And I want you all to also purchase their book, and you're going to hear so much more about it. And I appreciate you all for tuning in right now. So, Dr. Shayna, how are you?
I am amazing. How are you? And thank you for having us. I appreciate your willingness to share your audience with when destiny needs an intervention, honey.
Yes, we all need it, okay?
Okay.
So tell me, how did the vision come about?
So what had happened was there's a long story. How much time we got? There's so much, right? This is such a meaty journey. And um I would say in the midst of the pandemic is where it was born. Because like I know, Yvette, the pandemic changed all of our lives. We've got
Yes.
upside down. We was coming or going, and it was in the midst of that many would say the pandemic was a terrible thing, and in no way am I glad that it happened with the tragedy that occurred, but it had so many gifts to actually offer if we took hold of them. And so one of the gifts that it gave me was an opportunity to slow down enough and make connections with like-minded women. And so in the midst of that, I went live every day on Facebook actually for about 90 days in our shutdown when we couldn't leave home, as a way of trying to figure out, because I was struggling, right? I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm supposed to have it all together, but I'm in the midst of the struggle with everybody. So I'm
Mm.
online just encouraging my sisters and getting encouragement. And there was so much outpouring that I ended up creating a Facebook group of women from all over the world as we were in there supporting each other, the Your Extraordinary Life Network. And so in that group, I wanted to get to know the women. And so I started hosting weekly interviews with them, and I just sharing their stories. And the stories were so powerful. And I kept thinking one after the other, like, have you put this in a book? Have you written a book? And they all like, no, I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to start. And so I'm a God girl too. And so the message that I got is it was my assignment to give these women a voice and a place of which to share these stories. And so when Destiny Needs an Intervention really was born from the pandemic and all of those events that happened, I mean, it's an opportunity and a place for women to really talk about moments in our lives when we were headed in the wrong direction and we literally needed to turn some stuff around. That is when our destiny needed an intervention. And here we are with volume two with some Amazon best-selling authors. Let me tell
Yes.
you that part. We,
Hello. Woo!
listen, we ain't just no anybody's.
Tell us,
We some
Shayna.
somebody's. Okay. Amazon best-selling authors, some of them twice, who were in volume one and two.
Okay.
So that is where we are right now from that journey to here. And I'm so excited. So I've been so blessed by these women's stories. And I know that your listeners will be as well tonight.
How does it feel though, for real, Shayna? Because it was such a vision for you, and it was your assignment. Sometimes people don't understand what their assignment is,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
don't even go through with it. So with you going through with it and you see the results, how do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I'm too scared of whoopings, so I do what I'm told. I ain't taking no licks for nobody. I
I
will
know that's right.
always obey, even if I'm scared to death, even if I don't. I had never done an anthology. I mean, it's the whole process. I'm like, really, Lord? Like, I'm supposed to put them all together and put them in a book? Like, I have
Right.
self-published my own books, but never had I a group of women. And volume one had 13, and volume two had 12. So we're talking about 25 women here in
Girl.
this situation that I had never done before. And so I'm just trusting. I got crazy faith, Yvette. It's so crazy. It's stupid because folks look at me like I'm like I got four heads. Like, you finna do what? That's what he said. And so I'm going. I'm looking for land every time I step my foot out there because I just believe, I'm just crazy enough to believe that he's not going to let me fail. And anything attached to me will not fail either because I'm answering the call and we all go in the same place. So it feels unbelievable. Like there's not really, sometimes I have to pinch myself. And me and Crystal, we get on the call, child, and we be laid out. They don't even know. We be like, girl, I don't even, did you see, did you?
That's Crystal all day.
Listen, it is a wild feeling. I'm honored to be in the presence of these women because they, like, I'm just going to be quiet and get out the way because they are amazing and phenomenal and just powerhouses. And I'm just grateful that I was used as a vessel to help them have a space in order to share their amazing stories, to intervene on behalf of women all over the world. Like, that's amazing.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you and congratulations to everything. I really appreciate you for even just bringing so much awareness to it. So, thank you. So, hey, Cynthia, girl.
I knew you were gonna call me.
That's why I came to you because you knew I was coming.
I knew it. Holy Spirit said, get ready, get ready, get ready. I'm gonna call you first.
Yes.
I am blessed, Miss Yvette. I am truly blessed and honored. Thank you so much for having all of us on your show today.
You're welcome. So, Cynthia, before we actually get into your chapter, please let everyone know who you are. What do you do? Even before you even share this amazing testimony that you want to bring to us.
Well, again, my name is Cynthia Thompson, and I am a personal development purpose coach. So I work with women of faith to find their purpose and empower themselves to overcome the inner critic inside that's keeping them or self sabotaging their success in life, be it business, career, or relationships. So that's what I do. And I love doing that. It was new for me, and the Holy Spirit just put me in that space.
Wow. So, now tell me about this chapter you got.
Well, then, I know you're looking at the name like, okay, what's really going on?
Uh-huh.
So the name of my chapter is Real Confessions of a Bag Lady. And I'll just start off with, first of all, just that title and what those things mean. So the bags are just what they sound like. I know some of you, some of your watchers probably know the song Bag Lady from Erica Badu. So
Girl,
it is
yeah.
literally emotional baggage. And I had a lot of it, girl. I had the designer bags, I had the mid price bags, I had all the bags. And I talk a little bit about those bags in my story. But in my intervention that happened, a confession was necessary. And the Bible talks about confessing to God. And sometimes, even when you're trying to mend relationships, about
Yeah.
confessing or forgiving or talking to someone, say, you know, brother or sister, I know I have ought, please forgive me. But, and I had done that because there's some things in my past, and I don't give it all away. There were some adverse childhood experiences that produced these bags. And although I had forgiven, I had not healed myself on the inside. You know, who knows? Sometimes with emotional baggage like that, it's almost like a scab that you keep scratching. So once it gets a scab and it's healed for a little bit and you're good, it's seemingly, you seem like you're doing really well. And then something will happen and pull that scab off, and then it just starts bleeding all over your business, bleeding all over your career, bleeding all over your relationships. And that was my life. And I was hiding that because outside people thought my husband's a pastor. So that's another little bit of a fishbowl that I'm in. And I love helping people. So in my head, I can't let them see what's really going on the inside of me, on my insecurities and self-doubt and limiting beliefs and some really ugly things that I thought about myself. I can't let them see that because how am I now going to help them? But what the Holy Spirit showed me, when you make a real confession to yourself and
Yes.
realize that I need to handle these bags so that I can pour out. As I like how Dr. Shana says that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
And my cup was very empty. So I could only pour a little bit. And the Holy Spirit said, no, I want you to pour so much more. And so in the book, in my chapter, I talk a little bit about how my intervention came along and helped me to do that.
Okay, so what you carrying all these bags with all these goodies in it, wallets and all that, all of that stuff. So
All of it.
how did it feel for you to start emptying it out piece by piece?
Well, it's interesting. That was not the story that I was going to tell. When I signed up for the book, I see Crystal over there giggling. That was not the story. That was not the story. Because again, that was a transparency I was not ready to reveal. But like you said, dealing with the bags also meant dealing with the wallets, the keys, the lipstick, the everything that's inside those bags. And I guess I didn't realize until I wrote the story and working with all of these amazing women, and of course our fabulous 6-figure anthologist, Miss Crystal, when I really realized I had not healed. I'm 49 years old. Yeah, I said my age out there on the web. But for that long, probably since I was about 5 or 6 years old. So you're talking about 43 years of hiding and all of the things that it brought about, depression and anxiety and eating disorders and all these kinds of things that were ugly things inside the bags, right? And so it was so freeing for me to be in a safe space, so to speak, to kind of heal while I was writing the story, so that at this point, when the story came out, not only would it be like a final healing for me and my family, but also to allow my cup to be not only full, but have an overflow, so then I can help some other people.
That is amazing. So with you releasing everything now, and of course you got family that read it, friends that read it, how do you feel now that everyone has read it and you have released it all?
So I got some mixed reactions. Because in my story, like I said at the beginning, it talks about some adverse childhood experiences. And really, to be honest, statistically, 51% of people in America have had an adverse childhood experience. So I know I'm not alone. The numbers tell me that. But my parents are still living. And even though I had told them I was writing the book, it was a little different for them to read it on the pages and then also to see the interview in the documentary. So I think they were a little taken aback, but at the same time, they were very proud. So I was a little nervous. To answer your question, I was really nervous. My youngest daughter said everybody in the family was nervous because they didn't know exactly what I was going to say. But at the end of the day, everyone in my family was super, super proud. They understand that it's my truth and it's part of my healing. And really the portion about the childhood experiences is just a small part, because the focus is really on healing what I had to do to heal myself, how the intervention came and I had to heal myself in order to help others. That's really the focus, not so much what happened in the past, right? Because those things, it's good to know your past. I like to say I'm gonna look in a rear view mirror. I'm not going to turn around and look at it. I'm just going to glance at it in the rear view so that I can know how far I've come and realize that I have some healing now. But I'm not going to stop and turn around and look at it. I'm just going to glance so I can continue to be grateful and pour out to others, like I said, and help them to do the same thing.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that and being so transparent. I really appreciate you, and I wish you the best of everything.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yolanda.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. And thank you for having me on here. I guess you want to know a little bit about me.
Well, go ahead, take the floor, Yolanda girl.
Okay.
Go ahead.
As you ask, my name is Yolanda K. Davis, and I am an executive lifestyle coach. And I coach women that are in corporate America, professional women that are trying to navigate their way up the career ladder and that may have some barriers and some. So I help them navigate their way to what I call the executive table. It may not necessarily be the table in the boardroom. It could be somewhere else, but the name of my chapter is Thou Preparest the Table. And basically what my story is about is really helping those women understand that whatever space they choose to be in, and whatever space that their steps have been ordered in by God, that they belong there. And so having that voice once you get there, it's one thing to be invited to the table. It's another thing to sit at the table, but to hear your voice be heard and you be taken serious about what you're saying and what you're doing, that's something totally different. It's the same thing with whether or not you're in a church, a community, wherever that space is. I help women gain that confidence and that executive presence in order to do so, believing in themselves, knowing their worth, and just, not allowing anyone to put them in a box, giving them the opportunity to flourish wherever they are.
Well, first of all, you navigated your way on Life Her podcast. You know you already belong here. And then
That's right.
you've already invited and seated yourself, and you took position in charge already.
That's right. That's right.
So that's something I noticed, and I love the leadership and everything about you right now because you done took over, okay?
Yeah.
So that's just on point itself.
Yeah.
However, how long did it take for you to get to this point? Like in your chapter, I know many things you may have encountered in your life, but you have not always been this Yolanda. So,
That's right.
So how long did it take for you to become her?
So it took a while. And for me, I love telling about my journey because I feel like when I tell my journey, it gives women hope. When I first started in my career, I was a college graduate, of course, but still, as you know, graduating from college does not mean that you have a job, a great job.
Yeah.
And so I just happened to walk in one day. They said, we really don't have any professional positions. And I said, well, what do you have? And they said, well, really, we just have this one position here at the front desk. I said, oh, well, I'll take it. And I took a job at the front desk, basically helping individuals that wanted to transfer from within. So it took me some time. It didn't take me long to move from the front desk to a cubicle. And I really talk about really going from a cubicle to the C-suite, because that's really what happened. As things started changing, I started moving into different positions. And I did have a strategy. I mean, I knew that where I wanted to go, but I knew it was going to take more than just me showing up to work every day. So I positioned myself. Each time I was promoted somewhere, I always thought about the next place and the next move that I was going to make. There was a lot of roadblocks and there were some barriers as I started to climb the career ladder. And of course, the further I went and the further I went up the ladder, the more challenges I had, because I didn't see a lot of individuals that looked like me. Not necessarily just because of my color, but also there's not a lot of women that really get to that point. And if they do, there are not a lot of mentors there because they're trying to survive and for themselves. And so you're kind of stuck out there and trying to figure it out all on your own. Although I did have some mentors along the way. I did have what I call sponsors. And the difference between a sponsor and a mentor is a sponsor is that person that not only can they help you get, navigate, some of the barriers, but they can also help make, and those are the individuals that also make some decisions to put you in those places. So I did have that, and I was fortunate enough to have at least one or two of those individuals. But it took me quite some time. I'd say probably about 10 to 15 years. So, I mean, and I put a big gap there because I gained access to like management positions and things like that. Probably after I was in my career for about probably about 7 years, I started moving into management. But getting into those executive roles, it took me, about 10, 15 years.
Wow. So what do you want someone to gain from after reading your chapter?
After reading my chapter, what I want them to gain is that it does not matter where you come from, what you've done in your past. Because I always tell people I was a little girl that grew up on a dead-end street. And I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, but what I did grow up with is work ethic, and my father used to always tell me nothing beats failure but a try. So if you don't, if you continue, if you really want to get there, then you have to make it happen for yourself. And that's what I did. And so for my readers, I really want them to understand that they may have no desire career-wise to be in a boardroom, but wherever they choose to be, they can, there's some strategies to get there, and there's a process to get there. The main thing is set goals for yourself.
Yes.
And when you set goals for yourself, not only that, check them off. And I did that. I did that. I said, by this age, I want to be here. I want to be doing this. I want to do that. And so, for my readers, I just want them to understand that there's nothing, if you decide that you want to do something, there's very little, it's never impossible. And it's mainly because God, if you trust God and you believe in him and you have faith over fear, he will put you at that table.
He definitely will. And he put you at plenty of tables, but you also took those tables upon yourself too. Because sometimes a lot of people don't know you could pray for anything, but you got to move too.
That's right. You're exactly right.
And that's exactly
one thing to pray, but just another that you got to make the moves on your own. He'll open the doors for you, but you got to walk in.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It was very inspiring, and just your energy and leadership alone, this is amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, hey, Rochelle.
Hello, beloved.
Hey, how are you?
I am well. Thank you for asking.
So, Rochelle, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into your chapter.
Okay. I am Rochelle D. Jacobs. The D is for destiny. Just kidding. I am a two-time Amazon best-selling author of When Destiny Needs an Intervention, Volume 1 and 2. Okay. And I am a teacher, a comeback champion speaker. I am a professional development facilitator, and I'm also a podcast host of Free Yourself Friday.
Okay, free yourself, dear girl.
Make yourself free.
So tell me, how did you free yourself in your chapter?
Ooh, child, I'm glad you asked. Okay, so imagine. It was 30 years and 10 years shy of 40 of wandering in the desert. I was one of the Israelites wandering in the desert, very desolate, very barren, just mediocre, being without, being overwhelmed, suffering from PMS. Anybody suffer from PMS? Those painful money struggles.
Okay.
That was me. And so my chapter, For the Love of Money, I share my story of freeing myself from the triple threat mindset, poverty mindset of pink slips, payday loans, and pawn shops. Ooh. And so I know that's a mouthful, right?
Yes.
And so, I have a mantra that came out of this story. She never knew the weight until she felt the freedom.
Hmm.
So just being able to be free from, those pink slips, the pink notices you get in the mail, because you're living paycheck to paycheck. That was me. Going to the pawn shops and the payday loans. And so now I'm in a space and a place, thanks to Dr. Shane, our visionary, and we coined her hashtag story snatcher, Miss Crystal Cunningham. I'm able to, be able to free myself from that mindset and to empower others. I'm now an empowerment coach where I teach others to invest in themselves. For those that are seeking freedom from addiction and the loss of independence and insecurity, and those their own PMS, their own painful money struggles, to invest in themselves, to invest in their peace and find their purpose and be prosperous in the whole throughout the whole process.
Yes. A lot of times people usually get things that they want all the time. So when they get those things that they want, what advice do you have for them to even maintain and not crave for it so much and realize that you only should get things that you need?
Again, I'm in a space, I had to shift my mindset. One of the, I now have the mindset of small investments equal big dividends. And so now I have to ask myself, whenever I am faced with any money situation, any decision regarding money and savings, and because that was one of the things I had to learn, how to budget, how to save, invest. And so I have to ask myself the question, is this going to continue to, whatever it is I am about to spend money on? First of all, I look at it as an investment. Is this something that's going to continue to grow me?
Right.
Grow me in mind, body, spirit, grow me financially? Or is this something that's going to keep me stagnant? Am I trying to keep up with the Joneses? And so that's one of the things you have to ask yourself. I recently attended a wealth financial workshop summit.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about, the facilitator talked about the red aspect, reduce. And, is it efficient? Is it something that I'm going to need? And is it something that I can delay? Is it whatever I'm about to purchase? Is it a need or is it a want? Is it something that can be delayed? Is it going to speak to like the final end result? Again, going back to the question, is it going to grow me or is it going to keep me stagnant?
Wow. So
and in debt.
but that's a blessing. So what do you want people to gain from your chapter after reading it?
To know that you are important. Your financial legacy is important. Being able to invest in yourself, being able to make sure that not only you but your family, there's a legacy that you are striving to leave behind. Because at the end of the day, when all is said and done, when those arms are crossed and you've taken your last breath, what are you leaving behind? Are you leaving behind your family deep in debt, or are you leaving a legacy?
Wow. That is amazing. I thank you for even sharing that, because a lot of us struggle from our finances. And a lot of us should have realized that even during the pandemic, even more times of what someone was already going through. And that's just a major struggle. So I really appreciate you for even being transparent about that, because a lot of people do feel embarrassed about that. And it's hard
Mhm.
for them to even express it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Well, hey, Coach Crystal.
Hey girl, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having us on. Thank you so much for having us on your platform. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I appreciate you. So how has this experience been for you to even just assist Dr. Shayna with this whole journey, just having all these women together sharing such amazing stories?
This experience has been very powerful, very transformative for myself, for my business. It's been amazing because when the women first come in, I help Dr. Shayna, help women like Dr. Shayna, the visionary authors, high achieving women, whether they're executive leaders, coaches, right? And they have this vision to self-publish an anthology and grow their brands and build their business. So most of the time, it's their community, it's their connection, it's their people. But then I have the opportunity to work with them for them to get to know me. So of course, when they first meet me, they don't really know me,
Right.
besides probably like being on an interest call and things like that. This time it was a little bit different because we was able to really walk through the full process that I have in place. So to see them come through the door, I love that we have everything videoed, right? So we take pictures, right? And to see them from the first time that they actually walked in from orientation, when Dr. Shayna does orientation with everyone, and to see them now showing up, I don't even know these ladies. Who are they? Who are these people? Because it's a real transformation. And I know we hear certain words and terms that people use to put in the marketplace and talking to your content and things like that. But when I tell you a real transformation, I have seen these women transform right before my eyes, and it was a process. So it was phases that I was able to see, and like 1 minute, shaky, like uncertain, like, oh my God, can I really share this story? Like Cynthia was saying, can I really put this out here? What's going to happen? To now seeing them walking it boldly, confidently, and unapologetic, like, hey, this is what it is. And this was my experience. And you can't take that from me. So to see how they have really transformed through the vision that Dr. Shayna had, through the book When Destiny Needs an Intervention, to see them actually have their transformation first and now be able to help other women have their own transformation is powerful. It really, really is. And it's not just something cliche. They really are totally different women. Just you could see them even through the interviews. I've had people inboxing me like, my goodness, I can tell from the first time they showed up, like how they keep showing up, how they're showing up individually on their own platforms.
Yeah.
They're out there, they out there ready to tell the stories. They looking for speaking engagements. So anybody here, I'm telling you right now, if you need empowerment coaches, if you need personal development leaders, executive leaders, if you need speakers, these ladies are your ladies. Okay, we got more coming. That's
Yes.
all right, but it has really been very powerful for me to see how God can call you into a space, because I really didn't think this was for me. Anthologies, you was with me my first one,
Yeah.
and to see like, okay, like how God's assigned you to an assignment to help people. So we all have our assignment to help the next sister, which really helps the next nation. One person impacts a whole nation.
Yes.
Whole nation.
That part. Yes.
To answer your question. We be cutting up in here, y'all. We cut up every once in a while.
Yes. So, ladies, of overall, as far as your experience, because like Crystal was saying, the transformation from the start until now, and you're still growing. We all still have room to grow. How do you feel about the transformation and just releasing everything like that?
For me, I have to say I have made a huge transformation because I'm a natural introvert. First of all, I'm a natural introvert. But the other part is it was very difficult for me to share my story. And it's funny now, but it wasn't funny when it was happening. But I was Crystal would not let up on me trying to tell my story. My husband was home. I didn't want him to hear it. And so I was telling my story, but my phone kept dropping. It was because I kept walking around the house trying to tell the story and whisper it. And she's like, Yolanda, come on, you got more. You got more. So for me, I'm one of those transformations. I really am. Dr. Shana and Crystal, I have to say, not only have they changed my life, and I say that, and I mean that because, like I said, I'm a natural introvert. But the other part is, there's no doubt they've changed my business as well.
Wow.
Because I'm not afraid to show up. And I know for people, you say, how can you be a leader, and yet you're afraid to show up? I'm a leader, and I'm comfortable in what I do every day as a leader. But being on Facebook, sharing my story, being vulnerable, all of that, it was a very difficult time. So it really was an intervention. This was an intervention for me.
Yes, you show up and now you showing out, girl.
Right.
Yes.
For me, it was Dr. Shana was my wellness coach. And so, being in her program is how I started and how I met Crystal. She did a series on what's love got to do with it.
Oh.
And when that sister talked, she talked about something so simple. Putting lotion on your feet, making sure your feet weren't cracked and dry. And so, they both talked about, really pouring into yourselves. And that was something I never did.
Wow.
I always was showing up for everybody else. I was forgetting to put on my mask first. And like it's been said, I was operating from an empty cup.
Wow.
Fumes, if you would say. And so, when I'm grateful for the 2020 pandemic, because it was in that pandemic that really got me with my transformation, mind, body, and spirit. And so to be on this journey with these boss ladies, these powerhouses, it's really pushed me, because I was always hiding, being complacent with everything that I was doing. Just talking about that freedom, just living a life of hypocrisy, pretending like everything was okay when it wasn't. And so, to really go through this transformation, Vol 1 was the transformation for me. That was the transformation. But Vol 2, Lord have mercy, was the healing. Because just like everyone has said, Crystal snatched that story out of me, because I was like, we have to kind of like give like some background. And if you're familiar with Houston, Texas, we have something called the 610 loop. So I was going all around the 610 loop, and she was like, no. That ain't it. I'm like, Yolanda, I'm in the car. I'm in my car trying to get this story out. Because again, I was, like you mentioned earlier, Yvette, about I was ashamed. I was ashamed of how I really let my love of money, just having that mediocre poverty mindset, how I let it just it destroyed who I was. And so I got not only a transformation but a healing through this whole process. And I don't know, can I announce it, Dr. Shana? What's coming next? No? Okay.
You better give up goods. Type me in the back chat. Let's see, is it cleared? What you trying to say? It might be, but you better type it in the back chat.
I put it in there. Check it out.
She put it up in there too. Yes.
Okay, so that's clear because what I was gonna say, and I had to get permission, was
Okay.
when we started, and then who would have thought? I mean, I was a reader. I used to love reading, fiction books, but again, the pandemic brought about, a whole new mind shift, where I started reading self-help books and books that really minister to mind, body, spirit. And so when Shayna put out the all call for authors, I mean, who would have thought? I was the author now. Who would have thought? And so, when she announced, when we did volume 1, I had already told her. I said, "Baby, I'm ready for 1, 2, and 3. So vol 3 is coming. It's coming. So I'm ready for vol 3. And of course, Shayna she's already shut it down. It's a trilogy. That's it. We done. That's all. That's a wrap. But I'm ready because again, vol 1 was my body piece. Vol 2 was my mindset. And vol 3 will be my spirit piece. And so I'm scared because Crystal coming for that story, and I'm still working through it. I'm going through. I'm actually I'm going. I've been seeing a therapist because I'm really working through that, and so I know vol 3 is we're gonna end well.
Wow,
so
that is
I'm
amazing.
excited about that.
That is amazing.
Well, and I look, I don't know what I can say to follow those two powerful ladies up, but I will say that this, I think Crystal used the right word. It was transformational, this experience, because for me during the pandemic, is when I really realized my gifts. So sometimes you have these, God gives you these gifts and you don't realize that they're gifts because you're just, they're so natural to you. But I always had the gift of encouragement. And I never really understood that that was a gift until during the pandemic, I came down with cancer for the second time. So I had to go through the pandemic doing cancer treatment and had just lost my job at the same time. So it was a lot going on. But it was during that time that God spoke to me and said, that I'm sending you through these things because you're going to be helping some people who are going through some things. And it may not be cancer or it may not be the pandemic, but there's something that they're going through that's making them believe in their mind that they cannot do the things that I have put in their spirit to do. They're not looking at the Bible where it says, I can do all things. That's ALL, all, not some, not maybe, all things through me. And so in that trying time, I was encouraging the registration people, the nurses, the doctors. I mean, it was just craziness. And that's when he said, okay, I want you to step out on faith, or how Dr. Shayna say that, crazy faith. Because even though it seems like I'm really an extrovert, what I learned in the pandemic is I'm really 50-50. I'm a unicorn because I'm about half introvert, half extrovert, right? But the thought of being on a platform on a constant to talk to different people, to encourage them on a larger platform was really a little bit terrifying. And I was running like, God, I need you to send me a sign. Then he sent me a sign. Okay, well, I need you to send me another sign. And right about then is when Dr. Shane and I actually met at a conference where, and I don't want to give too much of the book away, where the person responsible for my intervention was. And that's where I met Dr. Shayna. And it just so happened I had just started trying to do some TikToks, and I saw her on TikTok asking for a call for authors. And the Lord had already told me I needed to write a book. But unlike my Diamond Destiny sister, Rochelle, I was not a reader. So I wasn't thinking about writing no book. So I know that was nothing but the Lord. And I tried to do it myself, but since number one, I wasn't a reader, and then number two, I didn't know nothing about writing a book. I said, Lord, you're gonna have to send somebody. So this experience, what I didn't realize was, and you know what? I'll just have to say this: when God shows up, He don't just give you a little bit; He give you a double portion.
Yes.
He gave me
Amen.
look. I'm sorry. Can I do a praise break right
Go,
there?
go ahead.
Can I do a praise break? I mean, I was not expecting the healing and the transformation that came out of what I asked for. I really only asked him for one thing. I said, Lord, if you want me to write a book, send somebody to hold my hand and tell me, okay, this is what you write and this is what you do. Like, hold my hand and walk me through it. But what I didn't understand was in that process, I was going to get this remarkable healing that turned into a remarkable miracle of a transformation. So then I could show up on those larger platforms and I could encourage women who have these limiting beliefs. I had one lady I was talking with who's going to be one part of my Real CEO Academy. And I was telling her she had been told her whole life that she couldn't do this and she couldn't do that. And she had it set that she couldn't do these things. And I said, well, who told you that?
Right.
Because the God that I serve says different. And whatever it is that the obstacles are in your mindset, because that's where it starts. Everything starts with a thought.
Yes.
And we all have the superpower to decide what we're going to do in our life. So we are Christ empowered overcomers, CEOs of our own life. And once I realized that, then I started to become more intentional in how I did my business and how I worked with my relationships, even and how I related to my granddaughter, my children, and they noticed the difference. And then it just kind of overflew to different women that I work with now. So it was transformational in a way that I cannot even explain and can't even put words to say thank you. Because the only reason I truly believe this, the only reason that I have everything that I have is because the Lord ordained it. And the Bible says that I put people in authority over you. And I truly believe that he sent Dr. Shana and Miss Crystal Cunningham to help me and walk me through and guide me and be the leaders that I needed in my life to be able to walk in the purpose and the destiny that God has.
Yes. But Cynthia, did you just see what you just did though?
No.
You talking about, I don't know how I'm gonna come up behind them. They already said it all. And all this.
You preached the whole sermon, Yvette.
A whole sermon. I'm telling you,
Always.
the Holy Spirit, God said, girl, daughter, you ain't about to do that. He changed your tongue so fast.
And he does it all the time. I just let him do what he does. That's all. I let him come in and just pour out what he has.
Girl, you did that.
And this is what happens though. So part of this transformation is the beginning of the process is the self-doubt. Like, I'm not sure. Is it safe to tell the truth? You know, will they accept me? Will I be judged? Will I be rejected? You know, will people be angry? Right? What will, because our stories include other people, right? And so you've heard the ladies talk about that. But the empowering piece of this journey, like, it is so important for me for women to understand the importance of standing in our power.
Yes.
Like, we are amazingly powerful because God is the one that infuses this power. It's not our own power. Now, and here's the other thing about this book. Even with volume 1, I never said, like, it wasn't my conscious thought. God gave it to me, but I didn't say, I want all women of faith in this book. I didn't say that out loud. That wasn't on my radar at all. But he gave me, every woman is a woman of faith. Every intervention he's in the middle of. I said, okay, I see you, God. You letting us know ain't no interventions happening minus you. Okay.
Amen.
So we run this back, volume 2. I ain't asked. Every single one of them, in the middle of them, he's everywhere. And not that I'm shocked or surprised, because I understand. I know who I am and whose I am. But the power of these stories is so amazing. And these women come from so many different backgrounds, so many different areas of life and what they went through. But the beauty is, if a woman reads any of these volumes, 1 or 2, she's going to see herself in multiple stories.
Yes.
So one may be talking about addiction to finance or addiction to drugs or teenage pregnancy or perfectionism. And even though that the details are different, you're going to see yourself in so, I can't tell you how many people have stopped me. It was like, Dr. Shana, I can't believe I couldn't put it down.
That's what I'm
Like,
talking
this is better than Reader's Digest.
about. Okay.
It's so good, like a soap opera, but it's the true story, and like a Jesus soap opera, right? Where all the characters, you know, they know him, and he's the middle of what's happening, and the end is amazing. And so for me, that's a huge part of the power of this project. But I want to insert one thing here before we move on. I know we have a little bit more time. There's one co-author that's not able to be here tonight, and she holds a very special and unique place in my heart. And I must speak on her behalf because I believe I'm qualified to do so.
Okay.
So we have a story called the PIMP Life Ain't Easy. Now, I spelled it for you, but let me tell it to you. The Pimp Life.
We got time.
Listen, the Pimp Life ain't easy. In case somebody missed it, I want y'all to pick up what I'm getting ready to put down. So the Pimp Life ain't easy. When you hear that, it's like, what? So interestingly enough, I've had the honor, Yvette, of sharing volume 1 and volume 2 with my mother. And she is the mama of the group, actually. She everybody mama when she show up. And her story is so, I mean, it's, first of all, it's disruptive. Let's just start with that. It's very disruptive because you see a 70-year-old woman coming down the aisle with a pimp hat on and a cane at the launch, baby.
Okay,
She's
Mom.
off. If you missed it, y'all missed it. I haven't even posted all of the content from that day because my spirit, I just so much. I haven't, because I got like, oh, when I do, they're gonna be like, oh my God, we should have been there. You should have been there. But our story is all about a woman who was in a space of codependency and literally pimping herself for love of other people, for acceptance, for validation. How many of us will live a life for the sake of someone else to tell us that we're okay, for someone else to say, hey, I really like you, I love you, you're good. We wait for that, and we will sell ourselves literally, emotionally, mentally, sometimes even spiritually, inside out, for the sake of somebody else to tell us that we're okay. And at the end of all of it, what she understood is, number one, ain't nobody got a heaven or hell to put you in. And number two, the only one who gets to validate you is the one that really created you. Yes. So the pimp life ain't easy because you sacrifice so much for nothing. Like you sacrifice yourself for nothing. Like that's like going to a store, paying money for a dress they don't even have on the rack. You don't get anything for your pain. You don't get anything but more pain, right? And so really, it's a powerful story. So I wanted to make sure I shared that. Her name is Patricia Berry Jones. And the pimp life ain't easy. I would be remiss if we didn't add that and drop that here, so that the people are aware. It's something for everybody in this book. Women of all ages, we all can find ourselves there. So there you have it. That's the mama of the group, and that's her story. And she's sticking to it. I'm telling you.
Okay, Mama.
Let me tell you, Yvette, she owns that. Okay, when she came in the conference with her cane and her pimp hat, okay, she owns that.
On the room.
Over. It was like, I can't, but she showed out. She just showed all the way out.
I know that's right. That is amazing. So, Dr. Shana, can you let our listeners know how to purchase the book?
Oh, yes. So anyone who is watching, listening, you can go to whendestinyneedsanintervention.com. And when you go to whendestinyneedsanintervention.com, if you heard a particular author's story that resonates with you, you can search for your favorite co-author and you will purchase it directly from her. Now, this is one of those times when following instructions is very important because each book is sold by a particular author. So whatever link you click on, that will be the author who will send you the book and will sign it for you. So please go to the website and check out your favorite co-author and get a signed copy of this book. The other thing that you can also find there, and I also dropped a link inside of the chat as well too on Facebook, is like Rochelle said, the call for authors for volume 3 is OPEN, open, open. And so this is a trilogy, kind of. It's not like Star Wars because they got like a million of them, but this is a trilogy. And I just believe that there's some other stories that need to be told before this series is done. Because honestly, I didn't know if there was going to be a volume 3. Me and Chris, I said, he ain't told me, I don't know. Because she asked, I said, I ain't got no word. Well, she come telling me, well, he said, I said, he ain't telling me. I'm waiting on my message. And interestingly enough, like that's how we go. The Holy Spirit shows up in rooms, honey, for sure. And when we were in our, we had a documentary premiere, which is something we did not get to do in volume 1, but this documentary featured 1 and 2 volume co-authors. And so after the premiere, we had a premiere party and featured and highlighted some of the ladies, well, all of the ladies who were there. And we had this panel discussion. And that's when the Spirit dropped to me and said, you have a volume 3, child. I'm like, okay. And then that's it, right? so volume 3 is the call for authors is open. Check the feed. You can go to InvestingInterventionInterest.com to gain information. The next meeting is going to be September the 18th. You want to make sure you are there. One thing about the collaboration with Crystal and I, we don't waste no time. This party is getting started very soon. So if you want to be a part of it, you don't have time to waste. You're going to need to go ahead, click those links and show up to that meeting so you can get all the deets and be a part of the next Destiny Diamond group of women who shine amazingly bright when we come out next year in 2023.
Yes, this is amazing. I really thank you, ladies, for even coming on Life Hurt Podcast to even just share your testimony. I know it took a lot just to even be here today, and it's new to some of you to even just show up and show out like you are and you did tonight. I bet you ain't know your tongues was gonna move like that. Because y'all did y'all's thing tonight. I'm so proud of you, and I am excited to even see how everything is going to take you to another journey. One thing about sharing your testimony and you sharing it to the people and telling your own story, my mom used to always tell me, ain't nobody going to tell it better than you. And you're the only one that's going to tell it as the truth, So once you expose it, can't nobody else replace it.
You know what, Yvette? I love that. And the other thing is, once you expose it, they can't weaponize it against you either.
They show.
I done told you my truth.
Whoa,
you don't get to use it against me.
Yep. You be like, look in the book. It's right there.
Right. On page 75. I said it.
Oh,
good. And right.
Yes. And that's something that all of us as women, men, it doesn't matter. If we just stand our ground, speak our truth, we don't have to worry about anybody even trying to attack us in no form or anything. You know, God told his truth so many times. Why can't we?
You know, if I can just say just something to what you just said about that. For me, I was terrified being a first lady, how that was going to affect the church. And really, like you said, I had a lot of people who, because of the transparency, looked at me differently in a good way to say, you're just like me. You are just, I thought I was by myself. So the devil wants us to believe, like you said, what all the negative things that may happen from us telling our stories. And we don't even think about the doors that's going to open, the lives that are going to be changed, and the people who are going to be transformed from our stories. So I just wanted to say that real quick for yourself and for the listeners. It was transformation happens when you're truthful and transparent.
Yes. And it matters. That's why a lot of people still be stuck with the mindset of a high schooler. at 50 years old. You still ain't healed and released all that mess.
Right?
Till
Exactly.
you release it, you still gonna be walking in that path. Okay.
Okay.
You will be walking in it. Have any of y'all heard that? There's a quote that says, "Until you heal your cuts or wounds, you're gonna bleed on people who did not wound you."
Yes.
I'm saying it wrong, but that's what it means.
That's what, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so you've heard a lot of these ladies, all of them have said it, that there's a healing that comes in this process. And if we have a moment, I just wanted to spend just a few minutes on this process because I don't want to pass by because this process, although we ain't finna give you all of the process, we're going to explain to you what the outcomes are of this process because that's the powerful piece. I want to say Yolanda is the one that said it first, which leads into my point is that while this is an anthology project, it's more than that. This is a business investment that women get to make in themselves because it is a story that you are sharing that literally will change the trajectory, literally, of your business because now you have what is called a signature story. Now there's stories and then there's signature stories.
Say it again, Dr. Shane.
I know. For the people in the back.
Say it loud for them in the back.
Dr. Shane, I think you bringing out the pimping from your mama.
I got it honestly, girl. Listen. And so what Crystal Cunningham, the story snatcher, she got a lot of names, but I've dubbed her the six-figure anthology strategist, is a genius at. And I believe as women, God has gifted us all differently, and we all got to stay in our own lanes.
Yes.
And you let the one he gifted with the other gift you don't have, you let them walk in that gift.
Right.
That ain't mine. I learned the hard way. That ain't mine. So I'm gonna get it. So I'm gonna yield to the gift. And so her anointing around these stories is it's fierce. It's like something I've never seen before. Because everyone that ain't the one I was coming to tell. I ain't worried about what you thought you was gonna tell.
Right.
Because I know the right one is going to be released, and it will be. And in that releasing, you literally open up an entire world in your business that you didn't even know existed. So now all of these women, if they weren't in the space of coaching before, they are now. They are speaking now. They are sharing their stories in power. And so not only are we training them, and I want Crystal to speak to the rest of this, I'm gonna stop in just a second, but not only are we training them around the anthology piece, but we're training them how to be speakers. I'm a TEDx speaker. I'm sharing with them, how do you go out and how do you land a TEDx? What is it that you need to say and do? That's in y'all masterclass tomorrow night, y'all. Catch up to me.
Okay.
What is it that you need to do in order to get into position to literally share your story and change the world? This is what this is about. And it's not and I know sometimes in the faith world we get funny about money and making money to do things, but I just believe the Lord didn't put us through pain to not have some profits and impact on the other side. Crystal got a whole saying about that. There's those coins, and there's she got a whole, she'll tell you what her 3 C's are. But the idea here is these stories are powerful. Not only will they impact and influence others, but it will literally change what it is you can do in your business. This is a business move. So we're business building. We are transforming women from the inside out. There's healing that is occurring. There's so many, we don't even have words. So I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna let Crystal talk a little bit more about that process.
Okay,
So, like Dr. Shana said, it really is a business investment. It's more than an anthology. When I was given the assignment, I was given the assignment because of the marketing piece, the marketing component for the co-authors that had been in other anthologies with me. And God said, I want you to take this over because when you're in an anthology, it should work for both parties, the visionary and the co-authors, because you are really establishing your brand through writing your story. Well, let me just say this. That's what my process is. That's how I see it. It's a way to capture your signature story to start building the business. And I like to say you become activated through writing your signature story. I don't just look for just any story. God wants the specific story, and that's where my gift comes into play. Where you're trying to give that fluff story, and that's why they call me story snatcher, story whisperer, because he's saying that ain't it. In my
That ain't
ear,
it.
that ain't it. That they trying, but that ain't it. And I'd be like, well, let them just give it to you. I don't, just give it to me. Hey, come on. He said that ain't it. And when we get to that signature story, it starts the journey, the process of them actually building their brand. And I work on building their brand message. So now they can go out there and build the business based off of their niche, their topic that they're going to be talking about, helping them set up themselves as coaches, creating courses around their story. My process is a little bit different because I don't want you to just, come in this anthology and just give us a story. No, what I do is I literally sit with you and I help you write that one and get that specific one. So there is like a whole 6 weeks where we're actually in the thick of it and we're writing it together. I'm talking about, I'll just tell you this. I'll give you a list. We playing music in the background. It's soft and we are writing. I'm helping you do the work. Because one thing I know when I was writing, um, it was challenging. How can you do this all on your own? And like Cynthia was talking about, I wanted to write, but she's not a reader. Not like myself. I wasn't no avid reader, but I knew I had a desire to write my story. However, having a group of collective people in the midst with you that's like-minded, that have the same desire, but you all have different assignments. That's what makes anthologies, that's what should make an anthology really, really impactful, really powerful, is you all coming together into one space, writing the story. And then from there, you can start to see this is not just you writing any story, it's the signature story. It's the one that when you tell it, everybody will always remember it. And I see it as a stamp. You're putting the stamp on other people's heart to remember that if you did it, I can do it. And now teach me your process. Show me your life lessons. Tell me the process of how to come up out of this thing, to move me into the next thing. So when I tell you we're building a business and this is a business investment, it is because I don't see anthologies as you just like the traditional ones that's out there, because they are out there. Now, if you just want to give your story and just hand the story in, this is not the one for you. But if you are saying, God, I wanted more, like Cynthia was saying, and all the rest of them here, is I knew that I wanted more for my life, but I just didn't know how to get it. God is saying this is the vehicle for you to come through, to now take you further. Let me show you how to use the book as your launching pad to move you on further to the next thing, to help you grow. And the beauty of partnering with Dr. Shana is that she is a TEDx speaker. So when I work with visionary authors, I'm looking to see what your specialty is that you want to bring into the project that makes your anthology so unique. It has to be unique. And that's why I don't do everybody's anthology. People looking for me all the time, like, hey, can you work with me? I will refuse you on so many levels because it has to match up with who I am. And I want it to be unique to you, because anthologies is nothing new, but I want your signature stamp on it as the visionary. So then those that are in your community, they also are creating their own signature stamp for their path on their business. And I know some of them, like Yolanda's here, she's already an executive coach. However, like she said, through here, she's kind of learned more, seeing more opportunities for her business and position it now in a different way to come out and share her message about being in corporate. So it's just, Listen, this is one that you do not want to miss. And I'm just telling you, you don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss this opportunity. And I speak for both. God has blessed me to have the opportunity to work with the visionary author and the co-author. So I feel very blessed able to see both paths do their thing, to see both ideas and visions come alive and to help women through the power of story. Because let me just say this, and I want you to think about this. There's story in everything. There's always a story being told to you with everything that we do. People will ask you, well, how did you get started? That's you got to get ready to tell a story. Whether it's how you start your career, how did you find this house, how did you get in this marriage, how did you have this baby, how did you do whatever it is that you're doing, you're always telling a story. But the key is telling that signature story that other people will walk away and remember what it is that you went through, what it is that you did, your story. So I just love Lisa Nichols. I just say I always use her as a reference. Her story is the Pamper story. She talks about being a teenage mom, like myself, and I could identify with that, being a teenage mom and not being able to have enough money to provide for her son. And she made a decision one day that I would never put another towel on him with, holding the diaper up, that I would make a better life. So I remember that's signature stories, and that's what we do to help you create signature pieces, not just anything, to build your business and move you along.
That is amazing. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. I want you guys to also tune in for part two. That's coming up here at 9:30. It is going to be even more amazing to meet the rest of the women. And Dr. Shayna, can you explain to everybody one more time how to purchase the book?
So, if you have been inspired at all, and your spirit is doing flips from hearing the amazingness of these women, and you're just curious because you want to hear the rest of the story, then run. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 and go to whendestinyneedsanintervention.com. Grab your copy. Now, what you must do is find the co author that resonated with you, pick her name, and purchase the book from her. She will send you a signed copy of the book. But just make sure whoever you pick it from, that is the one who you want to sign your book and send it to you. You can also go there and find information about the call for authors for volume 3. I put in the chat as well too, when Destiny's an Intervention interest.com. But there's also the link on the main webpage as well. We are so excited that you have joined us tonight. And I am so honored to share the stage with all of these amazing women and feel extremely blessed that God chose me as a vessel. Literally, that's all I am. I am merely a vessel that He chose to use for these women to have an opportunity to share their stories in power. Thank you so much for having us this evening, sis. We appreciate you, your energy and spirit as well, for sharing this time with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And again, everyone that's on here now and even the future watchers, I would like for y'all to tune in for part two. That's about to come up here at 9:30 p.m. Let's get ready, y'all. And thank you, ladies, so much.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, yes. Trying to get it together.